Hello. Today we're going to look at the geometric mean in triangles. And this line coming down uh, on a right triangle, this is a right triangle. If we draw a line coming down here, this is actually the altitude, which comes down at a right angle. And then these are legs. And then this is your hypotenuse. So of a big triangle, and when you bring that line down, you notice it makes it into three triangles. It actually makes it into a big triangle, a little triangle, and a medium-sized triangle. But right now, what we're going to do is learn how to manipulate all these numbers that show up. So this is what you want to do if you're going to try to find the altitude. So in other words, you use the middle. So you're actually trying to find the altitude, or you're using the altitude. So you're going to use the formula x is equal to the square root of y times z. So I'm going to take these two base numbers here and multiply them together to find out what this is. And we'll go through that formula in a moment. If I'm trying to find one of the legs, the leg theorem here. So if I was trying to find, let's say, S, you're going to use the formula to use outside. You're going to use the formula S is equal to the square root of the closest number in the base times the total base. So I'm going to take the closest number in the base and I'm going to multiply it by that whole base, the total base. So if I'm trying to find S here, I'm going to say the closest number in the base, or the adjacent base, the adjacent leg on this would be Z. So Z times the total base, which in this case is Z plus Y. So let's take a couple of examples so we can see what's going on. These again are all right triangles. And let's say that this was 5, this was 7, this is X, this is Y, and this is Z. So if I'm trying to find X, I would say X is equal to the square root. I'm trying to find inside, so I'm going to do the two base numbers here. So 5 times 7, which is 35. So that's equal to the square root of 35. If I'm trying to find Y, Y is going to be the square root of the closest one, the closest base number, which is 5, times the total base. Well, the total base here is 12. So times 12. And this will give me square root of 60. And 60 has a perfect square in it, which is 4. So the square root of 4 times 15. And the square root of 4 is 2. And I'm left with the square root of 15. So y then is going to be 2 square root of 15. And if I look at z, will be the same thing. Z is going to be the closest one would be 7 times the total amount, which is 5 plus 7, which is 12. And so then that would give me the square root of 84. And that actually has a perfect square in it, 4, right? So square root of 4 times 2 times See, 4, we're going to that 21 times. So 21 times. Correct. So this would be 2 square root of 21. All right, let's take another example of one that's a little bit different, and we might have to work backwards on this one. All right, so if this was 20, this is y, this is 10, this is x, and this is z. We're going to have to work backwards on this. So here's where I have only one variable, right? So I'm going to work backwards on this one. I know the outside here, and I know these two. I know this one, and I got to find this. So this is the outside. So I would say 20 is equal to, because I'm trying to find the outside, I got to do the closest base, which is 10, times the total amount, which would be 10 plus x. This number plus this number. So now to get rid of a square root, you square both sides. So I'll do that on the next one. So you square both sides. So 10 times 10 plus x. And because I'm squaring this, I'm left with whatever's left up underneath. So this is going to give me 400 is equal to 10 times 10 plus x. So I don't need to multiply it out. This says times, so I divide both sides by 10. This is gone, so I have 40 is equal to 10 plus x. Subtract 10 from both sides. So I get 30 is equal to x. So this now is 30. So to find my y is going to equal the square root of the two bottom numbers multiplied together. So 10 times 30. And doing that, that's going to give me y then is going to equal the square root of 300. And that's 100 times 3. So then y is going to equal 10 square root of 3. Okay? And then finding z, I'm going to find z up here where I have a little room. Z is going to equal the closest, which is 30, square root of 30, times the total amount, which is 40. So 10 plus 30. So the total amount is 40. And so then z is going to equal the square root of 1200. And z then would equal the square root of 100 times 12. And so the square root of 100 is 10. And I'm left with the square root of 12, which has a perfect square in it, which is 4. So 4 times 3. So the square root of 4 is going to give me 2. So 10 times 2. And I'm left with the square root of 3. So 20 square root of 3.